Good morning, class. Hope and pray you all are safe and healthy. Today we will do chapter number 11, Comparison of Adjectives. Class, before I tell you different methods of comparison, let's firstly revise what is adjective. Students, you all know describing words are adjectives. Means to say the word that describes noun, that is called adjective. And adjectives are used to compare people, places, objects and ideas. For example, tall, taller, tallest. These three degrees of adjectives are used to compare different persons or things. There are three degrees of adjectives: positive, comparative, and superlative. Positive degree is used to describe, it is not used to compare. Comparative degree is used to compare two things or persons, etc. Superlative degree is used to compare more than two persons or things, etc. For example, Ram is a tall boy. In this sentence, tall is a positive degree. It is describing Ram. Sham is taller than Ram. In this sentence, taller is comparative degree and it is showing comparison of Ram and Sham. Raj is the tallest among all. In this sentence, tallest is a superlative degree and it is showing comparison of all these three persons. Now, formation of the comparative and superlative degrees. Generally, we add er and est to most one or two syllable words that end in consonants. For example, dull, duller, dullest. Second method is when the positive ends in e, we add only r and st to the adjective. For example, large, larger, largest. Next is when the positive ends in consonant plus y, we drop y and add ier and iest. For example, lucky, luckier, luckiest. When the positive degree is a word of one syllable that ends in vowel plus consonant, we double the ending consonant and then add er and est. For example, red, 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 then re double der, redder, re double dest, reddest. When the positive is long, means to say positive is a word of two or more syllables, we add more and most before the adjectives to form comparative and superlative degrees. Useful, more useful, most useful. And there are some adjectives which are irregular. They are not formed from their positive form. For example, good, better, best. Students, in your book, a table of different adjectives is given. Please revise that table. Now, comparative forms ending in or. There are 12 words in the comparative form which are borrowed from Latin. First 5 words: anterior, exterior, ulterior, major, minor. These have lost their comparative meaning and these are used as positive adjectives. For example, this house needs major repairs. This is not used for any comparison. And meaning 7: inferior, superior, junior, senior, anterior, posterior, prior. These words have retained their comparative meaning and these are used as comparative adjectives. But like other comparative adjectives, these are not followed by then. These are followed by to. For example, my TV is superior to yours. We cannot say my TV is superior than you. Remember that these 7 words are followed by 2. There are some adjectives which are not used for any comparison because their meaning is already superlative. For example, universal, unique, extreme, round, etc. So, with these words, we don't need to use any kind of comparison. And when a comparison is made by means of a comparative adjective followed by then whatever thing we are comparing, that must be excluded from the thing or group of things with which it is compared. For example, iron is more useful than any other metal, and suppose we are not writing other, then meaning will be different. Then it will be meaning that iron is more useful than iron also. So remember to add other. And when we compare any person or thing by means of a superlative adjective, then whatever the thing which is compared, that must be excluded, means that is not needed to add in that sentence. For example, the Ganga is the holiest of all rivers. Here we cannot say all other rivers. If we will say all other rivers, then meaning will be different. In a sentence, the second part of the comparison must correspond in construction with the first. Means to say, whatever word or thing we are going to compare, that must be mentioned in the first part and also in the second part. For example, the population of Delhi is greater than any town in Europe. This is wrong because we are not comparing population and town. We need to compare population and population. The sentence will be, the population of Delhi is greater than the population of any town in Europe. And while comparisons, remember that we cannot use double comparatives or double superlatives. It means we cannot write more cleverer or most wisest, etc. And sometimes most is used before an adjective without the. Before superlative degree, the is used, but sometimes it is the word most is used without the, and it is used in the condition when no comparison is made, but an idea of high degree. When we want to convey, then most is used without the. We had a most enjoyable time in Goa. Here one idea of high degree is mentioned. Interchange of degrees of comparison. Students, we can change the degrees of comparison of adjectives from positive to comparative or superlative degrees. Means to say, we can use any of these 3 degrees to convey the same meaning. Now students, let's see example. First is, no other metal is as useful as iron. Iron is more useful than any other metal. Iron is the most useful of all metal. Students, in these 3 sentences, different degrees of adjectives are used. In first sentence, positive degree; in second, comparative degree; and in third sentence, superlative degree is used. But meaning of these 3 sentences is the same. Means to say, we can use any degree of comparison to convey the same meaning. Students, remember, when we use comparative degree, then word then is used. Then is used after comparative degree, and the is used before superlative degree. Students, now let's see use of a few adjectives. Elder and eldest, these adjectives are used for persons only and especially for the members of the same family. older and oldest, these adjectives are used for persons and as well as for things. Students, remember that after elder than is not used, but after older we can use than. Farther word is used to show distance, and further means something in addition. Nearest word, it shows distance or space, and the next word shows position. When we have to show any position, then the next word is used. Students, read examples from your book. Students, now use of later, letter, latest and last. Later and latest, these adjectives are used to show time. Later and last, these adjectives are used to show position. For example, what is the latest news? It is showing time. The last story is the most interesting. In this sentence, last is showing position. Students, avoid some errors in the use of adjectives. Means to say, don't use double adjectives. For example, this cloth is finer than that. Here finer is right, and if you will use more finer, that is wrong. Next example, this cloth is the finest of all, and use of the most finest, that is wrong. So carefully use only one degree of comparison in the sentence. Now some examples of the correct use of adjectives. First is, take the shorter of the two routes. This is right. In this sentence, the shorter, this is right. And if you want to write on the shortest, that is wrong, because we are comparing only two here. Next is, the Taj Mahal is more beautiful than any other tomb in the world. Use of only any, that is wrong, because if we will use any, already we have done, that will mean that Taj is more beautiful than Taj itself. Means to say, meaning will be different. He is my eldest son. Here use of the is not required. Students, read this chapter carefully. Students, solve exercise of this chapter. Thank you and have a nice day.